The history that has been erased in our nation, and in particular with the Native Americans, happened because it didn't fit the story they created, Manifest Destiny. It only works when Indians were savages, and they had to have savages for commerce and government to expand. The ancient artifacts prove otherwise. Why aren't we looking into those? Peter Wyrick, he's a guy who surveyed the Newark earthworks. He was digging into a mound near those earthworks, and he found a wooden coffin made of oak. They opened up the coffin and found a skeleton of a man holding a little box. It was about 8.10 inches in size. The box had been cemented shut. Here. This, by the way, is sitting in Ohio. Well, he opened up the box and he found a little man inside, a little black stone. They took it to scholars and they looked at it. The man seems to be carrying something, and there's writing here. At first, they couldn't recognize. The writing is, they thought in 1860, some sort of Hebrew. Well, finally, about 20 years later, they found some rabbis living in the area, and the rabbis looked at that, and they could read it. They said it was an old kind of block Hebrew, and it was a rendition of the Ten Commandments. Now, this is another piece. Block Hebrew, they said they'd never seen anything like it. Mainstream archaeologists at the time called this a hoax. But then in 1900, or just about after 1900, in Israel, they found the same block-style Hebrew writing. Mainstream archaeologists still dismissed the findings. They found it in Israel, and they found it in Ohio. But there was another stone that they found that they couldn't argue. This is the Bat Creek stone. It was found during the course of an official Smithsonian evacuation. The Smithsonian didn't understand the meaning of the writing on the stone. They thought it was Cherokee, since it came from Cherokee country. They didn't realize that it's actually Hebrew. They had published this originally upside down. They threw it in a box at the bottom of the Smithsonian, put it in the basement. Many years later, a scholar took it out of the box, looked at it, and went, oh my gosh, it's upside down. It's Phoenician, ancient Hebrew. So what's going on here? What is that about? Where is that history? 1882, 1883. This is John Wesley Howell. This is an original copy. John Wesley Howell in 1789. Again, this is Powell. This is the director of the Bureau of Ethnology at the Smithsonian Institute. He said this. Artifacts found prior to Christopher Columbus's arrival would be considered illegitimate by the Smithsonian. Only the savage Indian culture would be observed, and this created the artificial barrier to science. Only the savage. Science was colluding with government because of commerce, and religion was involved. Now, why do I tell you all this stuff? Not because I'm an Indian expert or anything else. You got to do your own homework. I just found out about this stuff. I'm amazed by it. To find more, visit the website, Lost Civilization.
Pawakata Yahweh, Pawakata Yahweh Shah, Pawakata Yahweh, Pawakata Yahweh Shah, Pawakata Yahweh, Pawakata Yahweh Shah, by Hashem Rakak Wadash. This is Akim Azil, back with another quick lesson. And this is on the topic of, these camps, or in general, these individuals thinking that the Israelites only consist of the so-called, Negro or dark-skinned race, man. We're scattered amongst all nations, but nonetheless, the Native Americans, or what people call Indians or whatever, they are one of the tribes of the nation of Israel, which is the Gadites, man. And by the opening clip, these devils know this, but they want to keep it from us, man. Like, even, they had this Edomite saying that even though I seen this like years ago, but the Wada Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah, I was able to, it was brought up through these, social media platforms. I was able to catch it again, and now I'm going to do a lesson on it. And like this Edomite said, he said he just learned on this. So what he said, you got to do your own research, which we encourage coming from mainly our elders. Don't, just say you believe what someone says without actually, looking into what they're saying to make sure because it sounds good, don't just, go for it. But nonetheless, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Yahushua, we know these things to be true. And I'm going to go ahead to Genesis 49 and 19. It says, Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the end. Repeat that again. Genesis 49 and 19, it says, Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the end. And I got this picture right here already pulled up, and you see, based on this picture, what it looks like. Native Americans fighting what? Troops of who? These Edomites, man. See it. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he should overcome at the end. So through the spirit, we know. And like I said, with this opening clip, you see they are retrieving these artifacts, that the writings on these artifacts are what? Paleo-Hebrew, man. And that demon Christopher Columbus, he had a Hebrew interpreter with him when he came over here, man. So he knew the type of people he was encountering, or was going to possibly encounter once he, came to what is now known the Americans, man. Let's go back. I'm not going to make this lesson long. I'm going to read the New Living Translation on the left. Salaki on the right. And it says, Gad will be attacked by marauding bands, but he will attack them when they retreat. Let's go into this word. Marauding bands. It says marauding bands are groups of people or animals that roam around in search of plunder, often attacking in a violent or destructive manner. Who is that? Esau Edom, man. The plunder. He came over here, and what they did, they plundered, especially on the islands, for gold. In the acts of what? Violence. What they came over here and committing the act, and actually committed an act of damn near genocide, man. That's violence at its peak, and destructive. What he destroyed the lifestyle of the Native Americans, man. So yes, the Israelites are not only the so-called Negroes, but they consist of, the Gadites, the so-called Mexicans, which is Issachar, and the list goes on and on, man. Northern Kingdom, man. So this is just an example that yes, there are the Native Americans, the so-called Mexicans, and etc., man. They are the children of Israel, make up one of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel, which we all are the same people, man. And amongst the so-called Negroes, because your skin is dark doesn't mean you're one of our people, man. And another example is these so-called Africans, man. They're the Hamites, man. They're not of our people, man. You know, even when it comes to these so-called Negroes over here, because your skin complexion is dark doesn't mean we're from the same people, man. You know, it all boils down to who your father is, man. And I'm gonna keep it there, man. And it also goes for the Native American. Native Americans, northern tribes also. But I'm gonna end my lesson off there. Hope the body was edified. Till next time, we give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Rakak, Wadash. Again, this your Aki B'Julazil, Lord willing. Be back with a lesson. Till next time, Shalom, Barak Thom, and Baba Shalom.